All right, that was pretty horrible. We got a pretty strong headwind going. But yo, this is Sean, 40-year-old physiotherapist, trying to get athletic, athlete over 40, athletic over 40, you know what it is. Today's topic is you gotta do everything slowly, including your diet. Why'd we do the intro right after my first sprint? That was horrible. Golly. So training, we just talked about load management. Everything happens layer by layer. Habit change is a very, very slow process. So the same thing is true about your diet. You can't really make these wild changes such as going carnivore, strictly paleo, I'm vegan, lacto ferment, vegan, and all the other crazy stuff that's out there. If we're using some of the principles from the last video of these kind of gradual changes that you would make in your training load, same thing's got to happen with your diet, right? As I'm about to take off my tarp and we'll talk about my weight loss goals and what I'm doing for diet, everything's got to be super gradual. So easiest tip right off the bat before I get my next sprint is take an audit of just how you're eating normally now. Even if it's so crazy crappy, pint of Haagen-Dazs every night. I used to do that. Chipotle bowls for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then snacks in between. Like whatever it is, just stay consistent with that, right? And what, and this is especially true if you're having a lot of calories, is, have those calories work for you. If I was eating that much, I'd have a lot of energy to train. So that would be my first bit of advice, is like, don't change anything, just kind of up your training and fuel your training. Let's go get the sprint and we'll kind of flesh out that idea. Okay, we're losing the tarp. It's too hot. Yo, that was bad. Bad isn't good. I felt like I was moving. All right, so we'll use me as an example. I used to be way into intermittent fasting, long fasting, experimented with paleo, Whole30, calorie counting, macronutrients, count your macros, everything. And I think that's fine when you're young, single, no kids, a lot of discipline, a lot of energy, a lot of focus just on this diet thing. But we always have to balance, as athletes in our 40s, what's pragmatic versus what's optimal. There are many things that I could do more optimally in my training, but those optimal things might stand in the way of things I value more, such as spending time with my family at dinner, teaching my girls what it means to respect and be appreciative of the food that's put in front of you. Any number of things, not being restrictive about eating. I think that's especially important for me with young daughters, is not because they'll pick up on those comments, right? Of like, dad doesn't eat that kind of stuff ever. Instead, we kind of preach moderation, which I think is probably a good principle. So yeah, this sort of gradual change principle when it comes to diet. So, and pragmatism. So let's get back on that train. Being pragmatic about, my wife, when she's home and she's cooking dinner, it might be pasta. It might be pasta with like substitute beef and tofu. And it's not that you don't eat that stuff. It's that, okay, maybe that's a little short on protein. I'll supplement it with protein. Optimal would be, I get my greens and chicken breast and like whole grain, and like I just eat that plain with no seasoning. Not a really nice way to live, and not a great picture for my family to be around at dinner time. So yeah, being pragmatic about your dietary pattern, like how you choose to eat, and then being pragmatic about, okay, this is going to be a gradual process. I'm just going to start right now, no changes, with exactly how I eat today, right? And then I'm not going to change much day to day, but I'm going to be accountable of just making sure I'm kind of eating similar things at the same times on each day. And then that's when you start to implement more pragmatic advice. So instead of restriction, like I don't eat that anymore, do something like substitution. So a really easy one for me, this is going to sound crazy to y'all. You're like, oh, you're fit. It's like, you look at your belly. Of course you ate this way. Well, F you, I'm working on it too. That's the whole point of this channel. So except we're supposed to cough away from the mic, Sean. All right. So for me, my late night pleasure was Cocoa Pebbles. Shout out Cocoa Pebbles. And if you're not into Cocoa Pebbles, I don't want you need to unsubscribe. The goat cereal, better than Cocoa Krispies because it doesn't float to the top. Better than Cap'n Crunch or anything because it doesn't tear up your mouth, doesn't get too soggy in the cereal. Delicious. Rice. It's gluten free, so it's got to be good for you. So anyway, but I'd have my Cocoa Pebbles with whole milk. But a quick, like, what, 200 calorie swap is just to use something like cashew milk or almond milk. Tastes just about as good. I still get to enjoy my Cocoa Pebbles. I still have a ton of carbs to help fuel my workout tomorrow, but I just shed a couple hundred calories by having basically like a non-calorie liquid inside my Cocoa Pebbles. I use this substitution method until I arrived at the dietary pattern that I'm practicing now. So I'll share that with you. I call it the BLDS. BLDS is this revolutionary dietary pattern where you eat 4 meals a day and they're BLDS. They're breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks. It's optimal because it leverages the principles of intermittent fasting because between breakfast and lunch, you fast. And between lunch and dinner, you get the joke, right? But on the other hand, keeps you regular, both from a pooping standpoint and kind of a blood sugar standpoint. So there's no midday crash because you know you're going to have another meal coming. And then third, it's an opportunity to make sure you have enough fuel in your body for pretty hard workouts, like if you're sprinting or playing basketball or other sports. You got to eat. I know you have weight loss goals. I don't have a rippling six pack yet, but I kind of enjoy the energy levels that I have with BLDS. BLDS is really great too because there's no skipped meals. And so this would be my only problem with something like intermittent fasting is that to me, intermittent fasting, you kind of miss out on another chance in your day, maybe a chance or two in your day to get a bolus of protein. Protein being that thing that's going to help you grow your muscles. That muscle protein synthesis is pretty important. So I think the rule of thumb is you got to have some minimum level of leucine. That's a branched chain amino acid, but you'll get that if you're just eating dairy products and meat and all this other stuff. If you're a vegetarian, vegan, you have to be a little more creative, I think. But imagine on a BLDS diet, if I'm getting that 30 grams of protein per meal, I'm already knocking out 120, and that's pretty darn good. And that's already baked in with the BLDS. So if you have 4 meals a day, you're getting at least 30 grams of protein in each meal. You're going to fuel your body and your muscles for growth and the energy it needs. So B breakfast is pretty simple. In my coffee, I'll have 20 grams of collagen protein. And then in a breakfast, like a fruit smoothie, I'll have 2 scoops of kind of this vegan Orgain protein. So that's like 21 grams. So that's 41 grams off the bat. That may not be optimal with the leucine and all the stuff I just talked about, but who cares? And then lunch is either leftovers from the night before, or I'll pack a sandwich or two. And then dinner is whatever is made for dinner. And I'll supplement if it's like a tofu dinner with some kind of extra protein. And then snack is important. Snack is a delicious bowl of 2 servings of Greek yogurt, 18 grams of protein each serving, protein granola from Nature Valley, blueberries, cinnamon, honey, and that will knock your dick clean off. It's so good, and it kind of fights those ice cream cravings you have, and it's not as nasty as regular protein ice cream. Last and final point I'd like to make about diet is, and this is going to be a revolutionary topic that we're going to flesh out in future videos, is you gotta, how does it poop? You just gotta ask yourself that question. Everything that you put in your gullet, especially a 40-year-old male, and it's only going to get worse every year, guys. Everything that you put down your throat, pause, everything that you eat, you need to ask yourself the question, how does it poop? That simple advice has also led to me shedding pounds, feeling a lot better, and not having little poopy emergencies at work and, at home and at night. So that's where we'll can it. I got my 3 sprints in. I got my 4 starts in. We did 2 video topics today. Check out Train Heroic, and we'll catch you on the next one. BLDS.